Hi, this is a follow-up to the webinar that you're about to watch. A little bit out of order, but I wanted to show you what the trend candles from Bob Amico's Targets Trading Pro or aramir.com/TTP can give you. These are today's results. We started at 1 in the morning Eastern. Crude is up 778. He has 1,068. Gold 1,574. NQ 1 minute 991. NQ 3 minute 893 for a total of over $5,000 of profit in one day. So excellent, excellent results. Bob will go over these in more detail, but I love the idea that it combines multiple time frame, moving averages, and order flow. Bob teaches a 6-month order flow class and is an expert in order flow concepts. And it's nice to see that he incorporated this into this really, really good bot. If you go to aramir.com/TTP, you'll have a special offer that Bob has. It's the bot plus the access to Bob's trading room, which is also excellent. But anyway, you'll see more in the webinar that you're about to watch. Bob explains a lot of this stuff, but I just wanted to show you some real live results from the day after the webinar. Thanks. All right, well, welcome to the Aramir Roundtable. Today is the 6th of May, 2025, and the special guest, uh, Bob from Targets Trading Pro. I've been a friend of mine, actually, Ed Kowalski, introduced me to Bob a couple weeks ago. And so I was curious and joined his trial trading room and liked it. And talked to Bob about the new trend candles bot that he's got. And I've been trying it out and it's pretty good. I really like it. It's making money. And I've really enjoyed the trading room. Bob's been around a long time. You can tell he's got a lot of experience and his results show it. And it's a pleasure to have you here, Bob, to talk about what you do.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm appreciative of the ask and look forward to answering questions. Not sure what format your group would like. If you're going to ask me questions or you want me to talk about what it is we do and,
Yeah,
you know,
just talk about maybe your background, how you got into trading, and then how your trading has evolved and where you are now and, what you offer.
sure. So I'm 62 years old. I'll be 63 years old, guys, in, excuse me, August. And at one time, I was a retail stockbroker going back 400 or 500 years ago. Became a retail stockbroker in 1984, left the retail end of it in 1990, 97, I guess. And really, my background, if you will, my education was, more fundamental analysis, right? I had no real technical analysis background. I wasn't trained in technical analysis or certainly day trading. And I guess in the mid 90s, myself and a friend of mine started day trading. And for those of you that might have been around in the 90s, it was a fairly simple period to trade. Whatever you bought really went up. The question was, did it go up 2 times or 20 times? And in any event, we did very, very well for a short period of time. And when the markets collapsed, I realized that I knew nothing about technical analysis. I knew nothing. Had no idea how to trade off a chart or anything like that. So I set out on a very long expedition and tried to learn as much as I could about technical analysis. And I've kind of gone the gamut, everything from Fibonacci's to Gann, harmonic trading patterns, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess about 10, 11 years ago, I happened to be fortunate enough to meet a person who was sat on a trading desk, and he taught me order flow. And that's where my trading turned, was when I learned to trade order flow. And since then, my trading has evolved a bit. I still rely on order flow. On the screen, you guys are looking at my market structure indicator. This indicator is built for me, and I use it across multiple time frames. And this is what I take my discretionary trades on. For those of you that may be looking for an automated system, or maybe interested in an automated system, let me let's see what the hours are on this. I'll turn Yeah, I'll turn this on. This will trade until 2:30, assuming there's a trade. This is my automated system. You can see it's on an Apex account and it's up 40. This is NASDAQ on a 1 minute. It's up $4,790 today. This is something that came about. The original concept of the candles really is not mine. These candles were something that I had programmed some 4 years ago, and then just recently, within the last 4 weeks or so, had automated. There is some order flow built into this. There are order blocks built into the candles. And basically what you're looking at here is this envelope. There is a moving average in the middle of the envelope, which you can't see. But, well, it's pending a trade. There we go. And in any event, there is basically a moving average in the middle with an average high and an average low of the moving average. And we'll see. The market has been very unkind to shorts today, and we'll see what may or may not happen here. But in any event, this is my automated system. So this is what I get for putting on a trade at 105. In any event, that's a little bit of my background. Tom, if you have questions, I've been in the trading industry 12 years now, and started out many, many years ago as a trader for another room. Excuse me. Left and went on my own. I've been on my own now, I guess, about maybe 8 years now. And I do actually trade both discretionarily in the room as well as with an automated system. Well, there's at least a target.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
go ahead, Tom.
I just going to say, your results have been pretty amazing from the couple weeks that I've been watching you. So, like a typical day in the trading room, like about half of it, from what I can tell, is from the bots, and the other half is your discretionary trading. And you're trading multiple instruments, which is interesting because a lot of people just focus on one.
Yeah, so I try to trade whatever is most active. As you've experienced in the room, I am trading, natural gas, copper, gold, crude, silver, whatever happens to be moving. Now we're just kind of chopping around in this little range here, but Nasdaq is probably my favorite, and most heavily relied upon. Let me shut this off. Most heavily relied upon, and it's what I primarily trade. I'm not much of an ES trader unless the ES is zipping around pretty quickly. I have no real interest in the ES, but I do like to trade the Nasdaq, and that is our bread and butter.
I know you've talked about in the room, you're thinking about the order flow class again, and it's like you said, it's not cheap, but it sounds very thorough. And I think you said it goes over 6 months. Can you
Yeah.
maybe
So
talk about that a little bit?
sure, sure. So as I said, at the onset, I learned to trade order flow a number of years ago, and in that time frame, um, really, that's kind of what has turned, I guess, allowed for me to be consistently profitable. I'm a big believer in order flow trading, and I think that, frankly, it's the backbone of what I do. If I didn't trade order flow, I don't know that I would be able to trade. Um, this is an order flow indicator. This is my order flow indicator that was actually built for me. This happens to be on copper, but this was built for me a number of years ago. Let's see what the NASDAQ looks like. Yeah, here we are in the NASDAQ. We do have some buyers, and it looks like we're trading. It looks like we're trying to trade. Net negative delta is still pretty significant. Tomorrow's FOMC, so today is, been kind of an up and down day, but with FOMC tomorrow, we'll see what, who knows what the afternoon brings. But I historically have taught an order flow class twice a year. It's a 6-month course. I teach it once a week for an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the content. My first class that I have ever done, I had over 130 people in the class.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big class, and I've done it for as few as 15 or 16. I am currently considering teaching another order flow class, assuming that there is enough interest in it. At the moment, I've got a handful of people that have expressed an interest in taking the course, and not enough at this point, honestly, for me to want to devote 6 months uh, to. But if there is enough people, I'll gladly teach another class. I had many people, a number of people had reached out to me regarding the class or asking about me teaching them order flow. And if it pans out that I get enough people that are interested in taking the course, then of course I'll teach the class.
Yeah, that's an interesting order flow indicator. I think you mentioned that has a separate cost by itself. Is that something people could buy?
Yeah, yeah. So my order flow indicator is $12.95 as a standalone.
Now, it's a little bit different than other order flow tools I've seen. Can you maybe talk about what's on this chart?
So, most order flows indicators, whether it's order flow analytics or, there's a number of them out there, basically all contain the same generic information, right? What I had found over the years prior to having this built for me was that not all order flow indicators contain the same information. So there were things that I was interested in seeing. I rely not as much on volume profile, but I do rely on. You'll notice the yellow dots on the left, which are sellers. The cayenne dots on the right are buyers. I do tend to rely on what we call stacked imbalances, and those are representing a ratio of 2 to 1 or greater in sellers or buyers. So I do tend to rely on the imbalances, and I look for block trades, which we just printed a block trade here. There's a 20 contract short there at the volume point of control. And it was a 30 contract long there or buyer there. There's another block trade here. So I'm looking for size trades. I still see this overall trend as short right now, and I do think we're going to come down. Again, FOMC is a wild card, and right now we're just chopping around basically between VWAP and one deviation. That's kind of par for the course as we head into a news-driven event tomorrow at 2 p.m. But
I notice a
go
lot of
ahead. I'm
times in the
sorry.
room, I notice a lot of times in the room you're looking for unfinished auctions. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, I'm. Let me see if I can find one. If the Nasdaq has one here, and there's not one here. So an unfinished auction is. I know there was one on copper I was watching earlier. I don't think it's gotten it. Here's an unfinished auction here. We'll go back and find. Here it is, right here, right here. So the market operates on basic auction theory, which is theoretically for every buyer, there's a seller. And each of these candles represent an auction period. So whether it's a 5 minute, 15 minute, 1 minute, daily, doesn't matter. It's an auction period. And when we have, if you'll notice on all these other candles, you have what we call capping. On the upper left-hand corner, you have a zero. On the lower right-hand corner, you have a zero. That auction is capped and complete. This auction here, we have a 10 in the lower left, 10 sellers, and we have six buyers on the right. That auction did not cap. It is an incomplete auction. So unfinished auctions, much like a gap in the profile or gap in the chart, will always get filled. So this is something that going forward, I will pay attention in the event that copper starts to move lower. And for me, you can see all these higher lows. So we've been putting in these red lines, higher lows. Once we start to move down through some of this support and away from volume point of control toward that VWAP, I'll look for a short, and that would be my target because those auctions will always get filled. Now they may be 2 days later, 2 weeks later, but they will always get filled.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a nice tool. Um, Other things that you look at in this tool while you're trading that are important?
Well, Delta, if I'm long, I want to continue to see buyers. If I'm short, I want to see sellers. So I'm watching, I first thing in the morning, I look at my overnight volume from the Globex session, and then I look at the delta. I want to know if is inventory long or short. If so I have a bias. That bias changes basically once I'm in a trade. If I start to see, in this instance, we're up near the highs of the day. If I start to see sellers come in, while my bias may have been long at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, that bias changes as volume comes in. And at this point, I would have no interest in longs. I'm not a daily breakout trader, so I don't buy breakouts. But if I were to see selling come in and I'll start to move, probably below, well, I mean, it's a little late in the day, but this pivot here is interesting. If I go back to that 10:55 a.m. candle, I think a break below that, might give us a catalyst to come down at least to VWAP, volume weighted average price, and certainly clean up that auction before moving higher, potentially higher. But that's what I rely on. In a nutshell, it would be impossible for me to give a complete order flow class, in a relatively short period of time.
Oh, of course, just some high level things of the kind of thing that you would teach in that class.
Yeah, those are some of the aspects, and over and above that, I do trade and teach how to trade the Ichimoku cloud. So I do trade the cloud. I use it primarily in my scalping. My favorite time frame is a 2-minute chart, and I scalp with that rather aggressively.
Now, on the store on your website, you have a few different bots, and Ed, I know, has been using the original bot. Is that
Mm-hmm.
something you still recommend? And I know Ed likes it, but I haven't used it, so I don't have any experience with it. Can you maybe talk about that a
Sure.
little
There
bit?
are the whole thing that started the automated process with me goes back about 8 years, and with the original bot. The original bot, I guess I have, give or take 1,100 users of the original bot, and it has performed well over all these years. The TrendBot Pro is essentially the next generation of the original bot. It operates on the same premise, which is basically a multi-time frame analysis of moving averages. And we incorporated a few other things. So, for instance, additional pairs of Fibonacci moving averages, dollar cost averaging, Fibonacci targets. So they're essentially, again, the same guts, if you will. The TrendBot Pro just had a few updates or upgrades to it, and I personally don't trade either with the original bot any longer or with the TrendBot Pro. I'm more interested in trading the new trend candles, which for instance, here is gold on a 1 minute. This is in the overnight session. Did $970 between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. This is another gold chart. This is a NinjaTrader, same trading hours, did $1,010. And crude, which also trades 1 a.m. to 6 a.m., did $850 in that overnight session. So we've had a tremendous amount of success with these trend candles, which are basically, again, based on, to a degree, moving averages, but with order blocks built in, which is kind of a black box. The order block area can't be changed, right? So through quite a bit of back testing with different instruments, for instance, gold has a different criteria for order block entries, as does NASDAQ or as does ES. On ES, I'm really interested in seeing order block trades of 100 or greater. On the NASDAQ, you would be few and far between to see 100 contract blocks on the NASDAQ. It happens, but not that often. And you wouldn't get very many trades without the order blocks. So we've built some order flow into these trend candles, and I'm looking to add a momentum indicator to it, and it will probably be in the form of the stacked imbalances portion of my order flow, which will then be incorporated into the trend candles.
Now, I know you said the of all the different symbols you're trading with the trend candles, the CL has been doing the best, and my CL was up 728 last night. The other ones are kind of hit and miss. Can you talk about if somebody's going to trade this, if they're getting started, what would you recommend?
You know, crude is the overnight session is proven to be the best. We obviously don't deal with algorithms, and there is no there's no options in there, so we don't have to deal with you know traders hedging with options, etc. And gold and crude tend to trade best in the overnight session, which is why I like trading them from 1 a.m. until 6 a.m. Eastern. NASDAQ has been very, very solid. For those of you guys that trade prop firms, I do trade these trend candles with not only evaluations, which I just showed you the NASDAQ with an evaluation, but also funded accounts. I have no qualms about trading it on, PA accounts or funded accounts. NASDAQ has been very consistent. Right, honestly, they're all very good. The least consistent, if you will, is probably the YM. Right, I'm not a big fan of the YM, but I do have members that like to trade the YM. The YM is the least consistent of all of the instruments that I trade. I'm working right now as well with silver and copper to bring those online. So, Lord knows there's enough instruments for those that want to trade. If you're looking for straight up consistency, the highest win rate so far is on crude. Crude has had the highest win rate of everything.
Yeah, I think every day that I've traded crude with the candles, they've made money. So I agree with that. Now you talked about prop firms. A lot of people are interested in that. If somebody was going to get started with futures, because a lot of people in the Aramir community are option traders, if they open up a prop firm account, what size do you recommend?
Yeah, yeah, I can give you two ends of that spectrum, I guess. So my personal preference is a $50,000 account. I trade those, almost exclusively. I like the $50,000. So for instance, this is a $50,000 account today. Okay, $3,830. That's a past evaluation in one session, right? I
Right.
can do that on 10 contract trades, right? It's basically two and a half trades, two and a half winners, but I can pass those almost daily. Um, I have traded $250,000. I'm not crazy about $250,000 accounts. You have greater size, of course, and you can trade, greater size. But again, my personal preference is the 50s. And once I convert those to funded accounts, of which I have a number of, I tend to trade them obviously a little less aggressively. Apex, Bullnox has fewer rules, but Apex has far more rules about size and sizing up until you're over the midpoint or at least the trailing draw point. Apex, I'm sorry, Bullnox, not so much. I have one particular member in the room who happens to be local to me. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and he's also here in Chattanooga. Chuck is a pilot for Delta, and over the last 3 months, he has averaged 40,000 a month in payouts from Apex, and he only trades $250,000 accounts. That's all he'll trade. So I think it comes down to preference, not necessarily what's best. Again, my personal preference is I can trade $50,000 accounts and pass them almost daily. I just need two and a half trades.
So when you're trading, say a 50K account with 10, do you do t the whole 10 contracts you're allowed?
Yeah. So in the evaluation phase, Apex doesn't care what you do. right?
Right.
And you can max them out and they don't really care. So in the evaluation phase, in the room, I don't ever really trade 10 accounts. I will, once I'm not in the room, I'll trade tens. So typically in the room, I'll trade, maybe a maximum of four on an evaluation. With my funded accounts, I'll trade three, regardless of where I'm at. So if I'm, whether I've eased that trailing draw or I'm well above it, I'll trade three contracts until I start getting payouts. But
Hmm.
with the evaluation, if I'm being frank, they're meaningless to me. If I buy a $50,000 evaluation for $16 and I blow it, I really don't care, right?
Right.
It doesn't pay me. It's to me it's useless. And until I convert that to a funded account, and until I convert that funded account to something that's paying me, it's completely useless. It has no, I don't care about it. So I will trade tens. I have a default ATM that I've built, which is basically uh, 20 ticks for first target. I'll move that out to 25 ticks on 10 contracts and basically just start scalping 6.5 handles and doing essentially three trades to get, a funded account. It's not hard to do.
Right. Yeah, I've passed those in a day. It's not that difficult.
No, not at all.
All right. Well,
If anybody in the room has questions, I mean, I'm happy to answer questions. This is unscripted. I didn't, my first time with you, Tom, and I didn't know if I was supposed to prepare a presentation, which I did not really, or if
yeah,
this
you
was
don't
going to
have
be a
to.
Q&A. So if there are people in the room that have questions, I'm happy to answer questions.
So when people sign up for the bot, what kinds of things have you seen they struggle with?
I mean, there really is no struggle with running the trend candles or the automated trend candles. The biggest issue that I have, or at least that we see, is from a technology standpoint. Is people say, well, listen, I'm not a tech person. I can't install them. That's really the biggest issue that we get from an operational standpoint. In the member area, I've laid it out for everybody. The settings are there. It's basically a set it and forget it type thing, right? I'm telling you, I've done, what hours you should run it. I'm telling you, how many contracts, what the targets are, what the stop is, et cetera. I've done all that work, right? So we're not asking anybody that's interested in the system. We're not asking anybody to come in and figure it out, right? Here it is. Do what you want with it. If you figure it out, great. If you don't, well, too bad, so sad, right? It's not that at all. We've done all the work. I've done all the back testing. I've done all the testing. I'm trading them on my funded accounts. I'm trading them on my evaluation accounts. I'm kind of putting my money where my mouth is, in the sense that if I'm willing to risk my PA accounts or my funded accounts, something that generates me revenue every month, then you should be willing to do it as well. These are the settings that I'm using. If and when they're ever updated, then of course we let everybody know. We have a group Teams, which anyone that owns, the trend candles is in that group. People that are, I guess, kind of adventurous, if you will, they can go out and try different settings. And some of our best settings come from members. For instance, that NinjaTrader on gold, which in a million years I never would have come up with. But I'm sorry, that's crude.
Yeah, there was an 8-4 brick
Yeah,
size.
that's the Ninja rank. I mean, this thing makes $1,000 a day like nothing. Yesterday in the overnight session, 1 a.m. to 6 a.m., we came in and it was already at daily goal. It was at $1,020.
Nice.
So I reset it, meaning I turned it back on, and it started from zero again, and it finished up $2,040 or something. So it made another $1,000. For whatever reason, these settings are phenomenal. They work. They work well. And again, this came from one of the members that took it upon themselves to do some testing and not just basically say, "Hey, I'm going to let Bob do everything." But for those that kind of want a system that's already in place, set it and forget it. It's already done. The settings that we're using are in the member area. And for those that have little, if any, technological skill, we'll set it up for you.
And I would assume they would work pretty much the same for micros too, right?
They do. They do. I have members that are trading it on micros, both in prop firms and cash accounts.
So if somebody had a cash account, what size would you recommend? Because I know like a $50,000 Apex account with a $2,500 drawdown, you're essentially trading a $2,500
Yeah,
account.
right. I get asked that question a lot, Tom, and there's really no answer to that. Meaning, it ultimately comes down to not how much should you trade, how much do you have to trade? And based
Right,
on what you have to trade is where you have to map out what you can trade. So if someone is trading a $25,000 cash account, well, then they certainly have the ability to trade, gold and crude and copper and other instruments, or simultaneously several instruments at once based on margin. If someone has a $3,000 account, well, then you certainly want to be talking about trading micros. And, we have to talk about a realistic kind of daily goal. If you're trading a $3,000 account and, you're treating it like zero DTEs, well, $3,000 is $30,000 tomorrow, and then it's zero the day after that. So ultimately, the risk to reward, you know, in all of trading, regardless of what you trade, options, commodities, futures, equities, doesn't matter. It all comes down to capital preservation, right?
right.
So, depending on the account size that one has, and I don't know that there's an optimum account or optimal account size, probably from a minimum standpoint, I would honestly think if you cannot afford to trade a minimum of a $5,000 cash account, then you should be trading prop firms.
Yeah, makes
That's my
sense.
opinion.
Yeah, you're talking about capital preservation. There was a good book. You've probably read it from Tom Hogarth, The Best Loser Wins.
No, but I've not read the book. But I mean, listen, trading is like anything else. If you look at, professional sports gamblers, the best sports gamblers on the planet win 62% of the time, and
Right.
they make a lot of money, right? Well, trading is similar. You can actually have, my historical win rate uh, with my discretionary trades is around 72%. That's historical. Okay. But you have to factor in the law of large numbers. So in any finite group, if I take 20 trades, in theory, I could be right 20 consecutive trades. I could be wrong 20 consecutive trades. And in theory, if on 1,000 trades, I could theoretically be wrong 300 times consecutively and right 700 times consecutively. We know it doesn't ever play out that way. But if you have blown up your account during those losing streaks, well, then you're never going to make it as a trader. And the reason generally that people blow their accounts out, whether it doesn't matter what they're trading, options, doesn't matter, is essentially they're over leveraged.
Yeah, and I've seen that with prop firms myself too, just trading too large and gets away from you really quickly.
It does. It does.
Oh, and Masood asks, what time of day do we run the system?
So the gold and crude, we have found in an enormous amount of testing that the overnight session, specifically from 1 a.m. Eastern through 6 a.m. Eastern, trades the best for those two instruments. I'm on the East Coast, so as you can imagine, I'm asleep. I'm not up to watch them trade. There is obvious, stops, targets, trailing stops, etc. But the other instruments that I typically trade, the NASDAQ, the ES, the YM, those I trade from, the NASDAQ on the 1 minute, 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. Eastern, and then 9:40 through noon Eastern, right? The other instrument or the other, like the NASDAQ, the ES, the YM, the NASDAQ on that NinjaTrader at 9:35 a.m. or so. So I give it 5 minutes for the market to shake out. and they trade until I hit my daily goal. Ideally, until I hit my daily goal.
Hey, well, I think we've covered quite a bit. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, if anybody, has if I've piqued anybody's interest and you'd like to, stop in and check out the room, I am strictly a futures trader. I don't trade options. At one time, I used to give option trades in the room, but I just don't honestly have enough people that are interested in options. Primarily on the Qs because I trade the Nasdaq almost exclusively. But if there's anybody that thinks they'd like to, come in for a trial, you can reach out to Tom. Um, you certainly could sign up on the website, but if you reach out to Tom, we'll accommodate you at no charge for a trial. And if anyone has more specific questions, Tom can refer you to me, and I'm more than happy to answer questions.
Absolutely. And I put the link to your website in the chat. So if anybody is looking for the trial for the trading room, it's what, $1 for a week, and it's really worth it just to see how Bob trades and the trades that he's taking. And actually, it could pay for anything else on the site because he's doing great and makes money every day. But the targets the trend candles on your store, it's actually called something else, right? It's
Yeah.
let's look.
Oh,
It's called automated trading subscription.
yeah, that's right here.
Yeah. So
First one
that's the
here.
one we've been talking about.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's not here, but this is a monthly subscription. It's $3.99 a month. It's $4.99 a month if you'd like to be in the trade room.
Now, were you going to be raising your prices? I thought I heard you say that at some
Yeah,
point.
so we had talked about that, and we are at $3.99 a month without the daily trade room, $4.99 a month with the daily trade room, and we're going to raise that to $4.99 and $5.99 respectively. All we're basically waiting on is just a few success stories from people other than myself, and just to kind of give you an idea, if I go to our group, this is let's see here. So this is from today, right? So this is one of my members. The Ninja Ranko for Arjan, $1,600 positive. Gold on the 15-minute, $1,400. He did a 200 tick, which are his own settings, $2,800. 7,000 bucks on gold today, 71.60. I don't know what the 200 tick is. It's not got anything to do with me. Um, do 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 do. Let's see here. Here's another one. 3 minute on gold, 780. 3 minute on crude. He's down 390. Mark, his Golden Ninja, Golden NQ up 27.95. So we have a number of success stories in here. I'm just waiting for some of these people that are trading it to get paid. Frankly, if they're trading a prop firm account and they get some payouts, and I can actually send those out in marketing emails, then we have the ability to say, hey, listen, people are getting paid, they're making money, and that's why you're here, right? We're here to make money.
And Bob was kind enough to set up a special page for Airmere. Let me put that in the chat. This TTP, and that's basically a special. The current price, is that going to be locked in when after you raise the prices, or is that going up?
No, for you, your people for the time being, they'd be locked in. So if anyone in your system has an interest, then of course they have a locked in pricing for now.
Okay, perfect. Oh, and Masood asks, how often do you change the bar sizes?
Not often. The only time that those, like for instance, like Arjan, I have no idea, why he came up with a 200 tick, but that's something, so you have the ability, if you want, Masood, to change the time frame and say, hey, listen, I don't want to trade a 1 minute, I want to trade a 2 minute. Okay, or something else. I'm not doing the research on that. That would be incumbent upon you. But again, I don't know where the 200 tick came from. His own idea, I guess. But I really am tracking these, and in the event anything starts to fall off, i.e., win rate, profitability, then of course we'll have to go back and do some testing and find something else. We haven't gotten to that point because, frankly, with the exception of today, that 1 minute did very, very well. But with the exception of today, day before FOMC, the market's a little choppy. We had a great down move early and then a corresponding up move and then largely chop. So if you made money today, kudos to you. I talked to traders outside of my ecosystem, and a lot of guys were chopped to death today, literally chopped to death. So
Um, Now I see the market structure indicator. That's not the order flow indicator, correct?
no, the order flow indicator is not on the website as of yet, but the market structure indicator is.
Can you maybe talk about what that indicator is and how to use it?
What, the market structure?
Yeah.
So market structure is basically as it implies, right? So what I'm looking for is where is the potential turning point? If I'm in a long where, for instance, here, we just had a turning point, right? So this is, you can see the market structure. We dropped below VWAP, volume weighted average price, bounced back up, common, and then we drop back below the 50% level here at 885. I mean, that's an all-day short for me. When I see this level get yanked up on this pullback, as soon as I drop down below that 885 half area, I'd be short. I mean, that's good for, heck, almost 40 handles, right?
Sure.
So we're looking for, most people can say, market moves up, pulls back, moves up, pulls back. And if I look at this area in here, right? I get an up move, a pullback. I get a lower high, which I don't like, but I get a higher low. I get a higher high, higher low, higher high, and then I get a lower low. So the market has turned direction here. Now, on a bigger picture, if I look at, let's say, a 3 minute, here's a 3 minute view, right? So this is early morning. We sell. We get this, bounce back on a 3 minute. Barely, the 3 minute, barely gets back up here to, 20,000. That's our day high area, 20,025. We drop back down. And again, we start putting in now lower highs, lower lows, lower high, double bottom, lower high, and a break. This is market structure. And we know that we want to be short. Now I've got to break a structure here, which it plots where the structure breaks, and we get that change of direction. So now we're basically short. So the trade, ideal trade here would be a move back up into where we broke structure. Support now becomes resistance. And I would look to short that with a stop above the micro level, right, which is up here, 921, and then see if we can get this to move down. Now we are trading into, some fair value gaps and, order blocks. There is some support down here. Whether it holds or not, I don't know. Delta is pretty significantly negative at almost 5,400. So there's quite a bit of selling in here. But that's essentially, what I'm, this is what I watch all day long.
So the fair value gaps and order blocks, that's all plotted from the indicator.
It is. Yep. And those order blocks that you see on the market structure indicator, those order blocks are actually programmed into the trend candles.
Okay, gotcha. Well, very good, Bob. Really appreciate the walkthrough and the overview of what you have on your site and how you trade and how you're thinking. And thanks very much for coming. And we can do it again in the future.
Yeah, you're very welcome. If anyone has questions, you can reach out to Tom or me directly. Tom can put you in touch and or kind of go between. But I appreciate y'all for listening. And if I can do anything for anyone, please feel free to reach out.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, and good luck with trading. And I know you don't need it because you're doing great, but again, I've really enjoyed the several weeks I've been with you, and look forward to many more.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Tom.
All right, thanks, Bob.
See you guys.